Was rent in twain from top to bottom. So that temple, that curtain that separated the holies of holies that only priest can go into, it was torn from top to bottom, and the earth did quake and the rocks rent. So the reason why it was torn, because now we have that access to God.
Amen.
Y'all with me? There's no longer the middleman. Huh? All right. So now when we revisit that Matthew 5, think not that I have come to destroy the law, but to fulfill it. That's when he fulfilled it. You understand that? He fulfilled it in that moment. Because now, once it is finished, it is finished. Curtains torn. Now, something is about to change. The change began after he was crucified. Mm-hmm. Y'all with me on that, right?
Yes.
Okay. So now, so we said, okay, there's no Levitical priesthood today. Now remember, let's go back to these tithing. Tithing referred to agriculture, fruit, trees, livestock, dough, wine, herbs, spice, and oil. Never silver, gold, or money, right? Right? Now, some people will argue that what? The agriculture, the livestock, the dough, all of these things was Israel's money. Right? That's their argument. Because they're trying to make the tithe be what? Money. So they're going to say that, okay, so what they're saying is Israel didn't have money. That was their money. Okay, so now let's go to this. The question is, did Israel have money? So watch this. Let's go to Leviticus 27 and 31. Let's revisit some of these scriptures that we read. Leviticus 27 and 31 says, and if a man will at all redeem aught of his tithes, he shall add thereto the fifth part thereof. What does that mean?
If he keep his tithe.
If he wanted to keep his tithe, he had to do what?
Add.
He had to add money to it if he wanted to keep it. Okay, so that means that if it was, the tithe was what? A tenth of what it was worth, right? So he had to pay 12% in order to keep it. You get that?
So if I wanted to keep my grain,
you had to pay 12% in order to keep your grain. You understand that? So let's think about it this way. If it meant money, in order to keep your money, the 10% of your money, you had to pay 12% of your money to keep it.
That makes sense.
But money wasn't involved.
Money wasn't involved, but it's showing that they did have money. But it's showing you that what? The tithe had nothing to do with the money. Mm-hmm. You get that?
Because why would you want to keep? Why would you want to keep the 10%
and pay 12%? You might as well just pay the 10% and save you 2%, right? You got that? Mm-hmm. Y'all seeing this, right? Okay. Also, let's go back to the festival tithe in Deuteronomy 14. Verse 24 says, and if the way be too long for thee, so that thou art not able to carry it, or if the place be too far from thee, which the Lord thy God shall choose to set his name there, when the Lord thy God had blessed thee, then shalt thou what? Turn it into money. Mm-hmm. Thou shalt what?
Turn it
in means that it's what? It originally, in the original state, is what? It's not money. See that? Once again, it wouldn't be, okay, turn your money into money. No.
So it's saying if your sack of grain is too heavy for you.
Yeah, all of those, we know what tithing referred to, all of these things of the land. Because the land was holy. Mm-hmm. The land was holy. Get that? The land was holy. So they're saying that, okay, these things of the land, if it's too much for you to carry, if you have livestock and you can't carry that with you, turn it into money. Mm-hmm. Convert it into money. Now bring it to the place where God has said, where the Ark of the Covenant is, and then now you buy whatever you want to buy. Because this is for the festival. Remember? Y'all understand? Y'all with me, right? Y'all sure y'all with me? Mm-hmm. Okay, now, So now here's what we're gonna do. Now let's no, you know what? Let's read because I want to show you something. Deuteronomy 14:23. You have verse 23? Okay. Watch this. And thou shalt eat before the Lord. We're still dealing with that festival time, right? And thou shalt eat before the Lord thy God in the place which he shall choose to place his name there, the tithe of corn, of thy wine, and of thine oil, and the firstlings of thy herds, and of thy flocks, that thou mayest learn to fear the Lord thy God always. That this last sentence is about to show you something. All of this was done for what? That thou may learn to fear the Lord thy God always. Because who established this system?
The Lord.
God established this system. Okay, so now, watch this. Let's go back to Malachi 3. Now, let me tie all of this in and show you something. Okay, because now, let me explain what was happening. See, because I always say that Bible 66 books, it's all one story about who? About Jesus, right?
Yes.
It's one consistent story. Everything goes together. But a lot of times when people are reading, they're reading one verse at a time, But what happened before that? You need to know the history of what was going on. How did we get to that point? So let me explain what was happening before we got to Malachi 3. The Jews had just escaped. They had been, because every time the Israel was disobedient, God did what?
Put them in captivity.
He put them in captivity. Another nation conquered them. Understand this, when God said, there's only one God, thou shalt have no other God before me, he was talking to who?
Israel.
He's talking to Israel. But what did Israel do? Israel started mingling with the outside people and started bringing in their gods and stuff. It's how things got to be disobedient, right? How they became disobedient. Okay, so watch. What had happened is, by the time of Malachi, what had happened is they were, like shepherds. They dealt with the land and stuff, right? But now they become merchants because they started mingling with the outside people. So they done changed their profession. You see, merchants do what? Sell stuff. Okay? So what happened is now, by this time, the temple has been rebuilt because the temple had been destroyed. So right now it's been rebuilt. The priesthood has been reestablished. And they're not worshiping idols anymore, but they haven't really got everything together yet. So the thing is, they were still marrying the outside women and stuff, and that was disobedience too, right? And the priests, under the tithe, with the tithe and stuff, it was for the priest. The priest was doing what? The priest and the Levite was doing what? What was their job?
To take care of
the house of God. Right? So they was living off the tithe. Right? So when Israel got away from this system, that means that the priests and the Levites are what? They're being neglected. They don't have no money. Because you're not supporting them anymore. You see what I'm saying? So what happened is, now that they're not being supported, now they're no longer what? Teaching the people of God. Because they got to go out and do other things to survive. You see what was going on? So that was going on when we get to Malachi 3. Now watch this. Let's begin with verse 6. For I am the Lord, I change not. Therefore ye sons of Jacob are not consumed. I'm the reason why you haven't been consumed, you haven't been destroyed. It's because of me, because of that promise that I made to your forefathers. Right? Even from the days of your fathers, ye are gone away from mine ordinances. Remember, the ordinances was what? The statutes and judgments for once you get into the land. You have gone away from mine ordinances and have not kept them. Return unto me, and I will return unto you, said the Lord of hosts. But ye said, wherein shall we return?
They lost their way.
Will a man rob God? Yet ye have robbed me. But ye say, wherein have we robbed thee? Because you know what they were saying? In the physical sense, they're saying, how are we going to rob you? In tithes and offerings. Now let's go and break something down. Go to the next slide. Will a man rob God? Yet ye have robbed me. But ye say, wherein have we robbed thee? In tithes and offerings. That word rob, because once again, the Old Testament was in what?
Hebrew.
Hebrew. So when we see rob, what does rob mean today?
Steal.
To steal something. Let's see what it meant in Hebrew. It means to cover. It means kavah. Kavah. Okay, is the word, the Hebrew word. To cover. Defraud. Rob. Spoil. Diminish or destroy the value or quality of. So what he's saying is, you're saying that I'm not God. And the system that I put into place does not work. That's why will a man rob God? So will a man say that my system doesn't work? Can you despoil what God has established? You see what I'm saying? Go to the next one. As for this reason, because you have gone away from me and you're not applying the rules of my systems, you are cursed with a curse. Because anytime you're disobedient to God, what? There are consequences for it.
Yes.
So they was cursed. For ye have robbed me, even this whole nation. Y'all gonna start mingling with the outside people, and y'all going away from my principles that I've established for you in this land. Because understand this. Let's go back to this. Who all ate from the land and stuff? Because what we saw was in the 7th year, what happened? The land rested, but did they starve in the 7th year?
No.
So in the 7th year, they were still provided for.
Yes.
Right? And it says what? The poor, the widows, the fatherless, the Levites, everybody still ate from that. Which also lets us know that what? The poor people wasn't paying tithes. Y'all hold on to that. Okay, so the thing is, okay, but God's system was working. I gave you land, right? I gave you land, so take care of that land. From what the land produces, I want you to go and give it to the people that's taking care of the house of God, so that they can be dedicated to what? God. Bring the stuff from the land into them so they could eat and stuff, right? And take care of my business. And in this system, everybody it's gonna work for everybody. Yeah. See? All right, so watch this. Verse 10 says, bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse, that there may be meat in mine house, and prove me now herewith, saith the Lord of hosts, if I will not open up the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing, that there shall not be room enough to receive. Okay, wait a minute. What's the storehouse? What is a storehouse for?
Store up.
To store up what? Grain. It's like a stock. It's like a supply. So bring the tithes into the storehouse, that there may be
meat.
That there may be what?
Meat.
M-E-A-T is what?
Food.
That's food all day. Because the storehouse is where who was? The Levites. So bring the tithe, all of this stuff from the land, bring it in so they could store it up. Because they ain't got no food. So they could take care of my business.
Because they don't have no land and provide food.
Let's put money. So bring the money into the storehouse. Why would money be in the storehouse? Okay, because it would have said to the tabernacle, the place where God has set his name. So bring money into the storehouse, that there may be meat. That's not going to work. You understand that? It's a reason why it was a storehouse. You understand that? It's a reason why it was a storehouse. So bring the tithes, everything from the land.
Because they were robbing from God.
Because they wasn't doing what God had said. Because they had gotten away from God's system. So now the priests are not able to do their work because they are forced to go out and do other things. You see? So when the priests started getting other jobs, now they can't no longer worship God or teach the people. You with me? Okay. Now, bring the tithes to the storehouse, that there may be meat in mine house. And see, we speed bump over all of these things because we done made it be money, but we forget the storehouse and meat. We done skipped over all of that. And watch 11. And I will rebuke the devourer for your sakes, and he shall not destroy the fruits of your ground. What is a devourer? It's a thing that destroys the plants and stuff. And I will rebuke the devourer for your sakes, and he shall not destroy the fruits of your ground. Neither shall your vine cast her fruit before time in the field, said the Lord of hosts. So we're seeing that all of this is saying about the land, because that's what it was about. You see? See why we need
your birds and your...
Because watch this. Why does he need to rebuke the devourer?
So you can bring forward a harvest.
So you can have a harvest. Because if the devourer destroys the harvest, then therefore there's no tithes to be brought to the house.
Yes.
You see? So once again, the priest will still be starving. But guess what? I'm going to take him and rebuke the devourer. So guess what? What you plant is going to produce. And it's still going to take care of everybody. You see that?
Yes.
So now let's say this. All right. Have you ever heard of? So let me say something. So it should be clear that we're talking about agriculture, livestock, fruits, all stuff of the promised land, right? That should be clear, right? And not money, right? Because when it referred to money, it told you money. Okay, let's go. What's the New Testament law of giving?
Cheerful giver.
God loves a cheerful giver. That's the New Testament. Call that the New Testament law of giving. Go to 2 Corinthians 9, 6 and 7. Okay. But this I say, he which soweth sparingly shall also reap sparingly, and he which soweth bountifully shall also reap bountifully. Every man as he has purposed what?
In his heart.
In his heart, so let him
give. Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you something. If tithing referred to money and is mandatory, how can it be of your heart? It's not. Does God need your money?
No.
What can God do with your money? Nothing. Okay. For God loveth a cheerful giver. Okay, so watch this. This is not really the New Testament law of giving. This is what people have said. But it's actually not the New Testament law of giving, because whenever God referred to money, gold, silver, things that were valuable, he said willing, that you're willing to give. Watch this. Let's go to Exodus 25. So right now, God, they're getting ready to build the tabernacle, the temple, right? So watch this. So now since they're getting ready to build the tabernacle and the temple, they need what? They need valuables. So watch this. Speak unto the children of Israel and say that they bring me and what? Offering. Because remember now, when we talked about offering said it was, money was a part of offering. So watch this. Not the tithes, because they would have already had the tithe. They was already, if it referred to money, right? All this time they would have had the tithe, money, right? No. An offering of every man that giveth it willingly with his heart. Ye shall take the offering. Okay? And look at some of these things. And this is the offering which ye shall take of them. Gold, silver, brass. So we get into valuable stuff now. Blue, purple, scarlet, fine linen, goat's hair. All of these things that are valuable. Okay? Watch this. Go to the next slide. Now, in Exodus 36, what has happened is the people were so willing, so liberal, that they gave so much that they got too much now. So watch this. Verse 3 says, and they received of Moses all the offering, which the children of Israel had brought for the work of the service of the sanctuary, to make it withal. And they brought yet unto him free offerings every morning. Right? And they spake unto Moses, the people bring much more than enough for the service of the work, which the Lord commanded them to make. They're bringing too much. Watch this. And Moses gave the commandment, and they caused it to be proclaimed throughout the camp, saying, let neither man nor woman make any more work for the offering of the sanctuary. So the people were restrained from
bringing.
So whenever God asked for money, he said, according to your heart. That's why I said not grudgingly or out of necessity. But the church is taught that get your tithes off the top. You know, get that off the top. No. And the church is teaching that, okay, if you don't have enough for your light bill anyway, you might as well give it to God. No. Not grudgingly or of necessity, because God loves a cheerful giver. Whenever he wanted money, he said, according to your heart. Because that's what makes it a blessing. That's what allows it to be, you receive the rewards of giving. Right? According in your heart. And then when it got to be enough, stop. That's enough.
But today's church don't.
You'll never hear stop.
You'll
never hear stop. So here's the thing. Okay, we talked about. Okay, now when we get to the New Testament, tithing had ended, right? Why did tithe end in the New Testament? Because of Jesus fulfilling the law.
Yeah.
Levitical priesthood destroyed. So now you no longer need to bring the tithes into the storehouse, right?
Right.
Okay. So watch this. This is reflective. Let's go to Paul. Let's go to Paul in Acts 18. Let me show you something. All right. Let's look at Acts 18. Y'all know who Paul was, right?
Yes.
Paul wrote a lot of books in the New Testament, so he was a great man. Okay, Acts 18 says, and because he was of the same craft, he abode with them and wrought. For by their occupation, they were tent makers. So it lets you know that Paul was what?
A tent maker.
He was a tent maker, so Paul had a job. Watch this. 1 Thessalonians 2:9 says, For ye remember, brethren, our labor and travail, for laboring night and day, because we would not be chargeable unto any of you. So guess what? Because we don't want y'all to take care of us. We preached unto you the gospel of God. So guess what? Our job was to preach you the gospel of salvation, not to be a burden unto you. That's why they was working and doing what they needed to do. You see? Y'all understand that? Because Paul was major in the New Testament. And if anybody was going to be supported, it definitely would have been Paul. But it's letting you know that no, Paul had an occupation, because guess what? We don't want to be a burden. We want to come and give you the gospel. That's why we're here. Because if they was trying to afford Paul, you understand that? It probably would have been too much. Paul wouldn't have been able to give them the gospel because they can't afford it. Y'all understand that? See, like today, when you got to afford the preacher to be able to come.
Yes.
But the gospel is free.
You better teach.
Okay. All right. Y'all. I see y'all looking like that. Thank y'all, man. Okay. All right. So watch this. Now let's revisit earlier what we said about Abraham, because I've showed you that under the law, tithing was under the law. It never referred to money. But now let's go back to what people were saying, that Abraham paid tithes to Melchizedek, and this was before the law was given. All right. So watch this. Verse 18 says, Genesis 14:18 says, and Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought forth bread and wine, and he was the priest of the Most High God. And he blessed him and said, Blessed be Abram of the Most High God, possessor of heaven and earth. 20. And blessed be the Most High God, which had delivered thine enemies into thine hand, and he gave him tithes of all. Okay? So what does tithe mean? A tenth. Okay, so watch this. Abraham paid a tithe once. He only paid a tithe once. It wasn't his stuff that he paid for. Right? He paid because he had just came back from war. And he gave them what he had got from war. So watch this. So let me show you what was happening. Okay, first of all, in order for them to pay tithe, who did they need?
They need the priest.
They need a Levitical priesthood in order to pay tithe. And it had to come from what? The land. Right? Because that's what made it holy.
Yes.
Okay, so watch this. So Abram came from war, and he gave a tenth of what he had gotten from war. So watch this. In order for me to prove that this is something different, we're gonna have to find it in the Bible in another place that shows that what? The same thing happened, something similar happened in the Bible. So my claim is what? Abraham paid from war, what he got from war. Okay? So watch this. Numbers 31. And Moses spake unto the people, saying, arm yourselves unto the wall. Unto the wall. Right? They get ready to go to war, right? And let them go against the Midianites and avenge the Lord of Midian. And the children of Israel took all the women of the Midianites captive. You see that? And their little ones, and took the spoil of all their cattle, and all their flocks, and their gods. So they done took all of their possession from the wall, right? Verse 11, and they took all the spoil and all the prey, both of men and beasts. Okay, so they've taken something from them in war, right? Verse 26, take the sum of the prey, right, that they got from the war, that was taken, both of man and beast, thou and Eleazar the priest, and the chief fathers of the congregation. What does prey mean? Captives, booty, and spoil. Y'all understand that? We know captives, okay, they captured the people. The spoil is what they took, and booty is also when you go through and take, because we know pirates take booty. Okay? All right? So that's what they took, right? Go to 27. And divide the prey into two parts, between them that took the war upon them, between the men that went to war, who went out to battle, and between the congregation, okay? The other people, right? And levy a tribute unto the Lord of the men of war, which went out to battle, one soul of 500, both the persons and the beeves and the asses of the sheep. Take it of their half and give it unto Eleazar the priest for a heave offering. So watch this. So what we're seeing is just like Abraham paid when he came back from battle, what he had took and paid it to Melchizedek, Israel is at war. And what they took, they came back and gave what they took from war to the priests. So that's letting you know that it's something totally different. Y'all with me on that?
Yes.
Y'all sure y'all with me on that, right?
Yes.
Now let me go and further make it clear for you. Let's go to Hebrews 7. To whom also Abraham gave a tenth part of all. Remember it said tithe at first, right? This is gonna make it clear. He gave a tenth part of what? A tenth part of all. First being by interpretation king of righteousness, and after that also king of Salem. It's talking about Melchizedek right there. But Abraham paid him a tenth of all, right? A tenth of all. Now consider how great this man was, unto whom even the patriarch Abraham gave what?
A tenth of the spoils.
So was it tithe?
No, because tithe is agriculture.
A tenth of his spoils mean from war. What they took from war. See how clear this is? But let me show you something else, because I want to show, Alondra, can you go back to Genesis 14? What you saying, Solana?
So when you give tenth of your paycheck, it's not a tithe because it's not from the land, and it's not.
You see that?
It's just a tenth part, just like
That's right.
Abraham.
Right. They gave from what was holy. The land was holy. So they're giving what was holy back to God. Let's get technical for a second. Cain killed Abel, right?
Yes.
Why did Cain kill Abel?
Because of his sacrifice.
Because of his sacrifice, right? Cain's sacrifice was from what?
The ground.
From the land. The land was cursed. It was unholy. Do y'all understand that? That's why God didn't accept it. So when you go to tithe was of that holy land.
Yes.
Which is why it was acceptable. If they go to war, that means that they're dealing with people that are what? Not God's people. Right? So that's why it was a spoil. Okay, you take it from these people that are not God's people.
Contaminated.
It's contaminated. Y'all understand that? Okay, so watch this. Let me show you something about this. Because I found this to be interesting. What did Abram give to Melchizedek? Go to 18. What did he give to him?
Bread and wine.
Bread and wine.
Oh, all right, okay.
He gave him bread and wine. Y'all still missing this? He gave him bread and wine. Melchizedek was this priest of the Most High God. He gave him bread and wine. What do we do now for communion?
Bread and wine.
So this is a type of what was to come.
Yes, yes.
You see that? Bread and communion, because you don't find this nowhere else. You see? Because this didn't happen again until Jesus came, that we do bread and wine forever until he comes. So Abraham had faith. So by faith, Abraham did a lot of stuff by faith. So by faith, he celebrated communion.
Yes, yes.
Before it came, thousands of years before it came. Are y'all seeing that? Okay, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Just me. I was excited about that. Okay, so watch this. Now, let's go here. So if tithing had stopped in the New Testament, which we know, how was it re-implemented?
Did I read the church for?
Let me give you some history right quick. All right, Cyprian. Okay, anybody ever heard of Cyprian? Okay, well he was like a religious Christian, early Christian writer and stuff. Okay, so Cyprian in the 3rd century decided that we should go back to tithing. Right? Said that we should go back to the clergy being supported. That was his idea. But it didn't kick off then. But he introduced the idea in the 3rd century. So now we get to the 6th century. Watch what happens. The church became reorganized in the 6th century. Right? The bishop became like the Old Testament high priest. The Presbyterians became like the Old Testament priests. And the deacons became like the Old Testament Levites. So we restructured the church in the 6th century. And when that happened, they brought back tithing. When they restructured the church, because the church, remember the church began with who? When did the church begin? In Acts. After Jesus. After Jesus crucified, the church began. There was no church in the Old Testament. Right? So what happened is they decided that, okay, let's restructure the church to make it be like the Old Testament was. And then we could justify tithing in these different things, right? So watch this. So look, the problem was when they re-implemented tithing, they were selective with what they added, right? Because in the Old Testament, who was the Levites? All the Levites that got the tithe, but who were the Levites? Everybody that worked in the... Okay, all right, everybody. So all of the Levites got the tithe. And then there was a tithe where the Levites paid to the priests, right? Well, when they restructured it, guess what? How many? The tithing was based on the what cycle?
7.
7-year cycle, right? Shemitah cycle. They didn't re-implement that. No, we're just going to implement the yearly tithe. We're going to implement the yearly tithe and make it just about money. You see what I'm saying? Everybody is not going to split the tithe now. We're going to go to the pastor now. They're going to split the tithe. Get the money to them. Y'all seeing what's happening? See the difference between now and how it was then? So they were very selective with what they did. They only implemented the annual tithe, and they got away from the 7-year cycle. Also, I told you, I mentioned to y'all that the poor people didn't pay tithe. So now, no, everybody got to pay a tithe. Everybody that has income pay tithes. You see? So now, okay, so let's go to, I think go to the next slide. Okay, we understand that, okay, let me recap this. Offerings was for worship and for sin, right? Right? Tithing is an Old Testament principle. Tithing was produced from where?
The Holy Land.
Only from the Holy Land. And only referred to agriculture, fruit trees, livestock, dough, wine, herbs, spice, and all. We know it didn't refer to money, but guess what? Israel had money. So if it referred to money, then it would have been their money. If it referred to money. You see, because if two things exist at the same time and it doesn't cover it, that means that it's not pertaining to that. Y'all understand that? Okay. Tithes were divided amongst the Levites. Everybody that worked in there for God. Tithing was re-implemented 600 years after Christ. But the division was selective. They only divided it amongst the pastors, the heads, and only the yearly tithe is accepted. None of the debt cancellation and all of that. Giving money was only of free will. And then Abraham's tithe, his tenth, was only from the spoils of war and not the Holy Land. Okay, so listen, just what I said earlier. Like I said earlier, okay, the church needs to be supported. And this is not a teaching to stop you from giving. This is so that you can understand what was going on, because, like I said, there are blessings connected to your giving. When you give to God, he has to give back to you. You understand that? So the thing is, 2 Corinthians 9:8 says, and God is able to make grace abound towards you, that ye always have an all sufficiency in all things. That's when he's going to take care of everything that you need. May abound in every good work. Verse 9, as it is written, he had dispersed abroad, he had given to the poor, his righteousness remaineth forever. Now he that ministered seed to the sower, ministered bread for you, for your food, and multiply your seed sown, and increase the fruits of your righteousness, being enriched in everything to all bountifulness, which causeth through us thanksgiving to God. For the administration of the service not only supplieth the want of the saints, but is abundant also by many thanksgiving to God. So the thing is, God will meet your need. God is going to provide for you. God doesn't need your money, because even in the Old Testament, he said you can't serve God and mammon. You can't serve God and money, because mammon was the god of money. You see what I'm saying? So that's why he says also that the love of money is the root of all evil. You see what I'm saying? Because of money, people do a lot of stuff. And that has become the case in the church. They've made it be about money because now we need money. It's amazing that this free gift is also one of the biggest cons in the world. Why is that? Because they have changed it from being about God and made it be about money. A lot of times, pastors want to be in poor neighborhoods because the poor, they're struggling, they want hope. And so they'll buy into it. We'll give you all that we have for hope. You see? But it's not necessary. And so that's what I wanted to go and just explain, because like I said, our thing is coming against tradition. We want to explain. We want you to know what the Bible says. And the thing is, you trust God. So let's pray. Father God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for your word being rightly defined.
It's like we've lost our minds. You take a look at the news. Crime is at an